In the past few years, we've heard the term free agents and been told we would all need to become one in order to succeed. The recent economic structures have helped to promote this concept as reality. Where do we get the tools to take control of our career path in the present and future? Welcome to The Career Confidant with your host, Marie Zimenoff. Marie and her guest experts are here to provide you with the tools you need to move forward and achieve your career goals. Now, here is Marie Zimenoff.
Hello and welcome to The Career Confidant. We're glad to have you here today, and we are going to be talking about a very current topic with the layoffs and the research that just came out from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, about more companies looking for layoffs in the next year. So we are joined by Lori Jasbach, and Lori is a career transition expert. She is a resume writer as well as a coach, helping people in transition. And Lori, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you for having me on The Career Confidant. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited. So, kind of a downer topic in terms of layoffs. However, they're always around, right? There's this big splash in the news right now about it, but this is nothing new. It is something that we can prepare for and really be ready to make a transition. So, Lori, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of these trends, maybe in things that you've read or actual clients that you're talking to. Are you seeing layoffs start to impact people?
Yes, Marie. So the trends that I'm seeing out there as a career professional that are impacting, job search, the labor market, is especially an offshoot from the Great Resignation movement. We know that since the pandemic has taken a great toll on people, and it has actually kind of propelled or enforced the Great Resignation. And this movement is really about people our clients, my jobs or job seekers are reevaluating their goals. They're taking time to really redefine their values, their needs, where they want to make a change. They're seeing things like that are occurring is this diminishing sort of or declining of this hustle culture and more of a need to go towards balance and more what they want and how they can drive more meaning and growth into their career. So that Great Resignation is actually also been coined as the Great Retention, you may have heard, or the Great Regret, as employers now are trying to figure out how to mitigate or how to resolve these great staffing shortages that are going on. And they're trying to figure out how to implement these retention strategies on how to retain the best possible talent. We also know that culture is another driving force for the clients I'm talking to and dealing with. They are wanting to get away from these toxic cultures and where there's a lot of things going on, like maybe perhaps even overwork and burnout and bullying, harassment, those types of things are going on. And so there's lots of change happening, lots of career transitions, lots of, we know that Ford, for example, is going to be soon laying off thousands of people. So this 50% reduction in workforce by the fall is something that we need to, as career professionals, we need to prepare job seekers for and how they're going to navigate this with calm and with confidence. We're seeing industries such as professional and technical IT industries more rise in popularity, public administration, finance and real estate, information and culture, and less on forestry, mining, agriculture, food services. So more, especially with healthcare. So a lot of these things we've got to keep in mind. Also want to mention the emphasis on diversity and equity in culture. So the values are a key part now of our strategy on how we're going to align job seekers' goals, needs, and what they're looking for with what the right ideal environment, I think.
Yeah, and this has been kind of a quick shift from it being a job seekers market and lots of talk, as you said, of the Great Resignation. And now people are nervous about being laid off and maybe not having opportunities that they thought they were going to have if they were going to make a transition. And it happened really fast, right? That shift happened really fast. And the PricewaterhouseCoopers research that we were referring to showed that 50% of firms are anticipating a reduction in overall headcount. 52 think they're going to have a hiring freeze, and 44% rescinding job offers, which we've heard a lot about recently. And this is applying to lots of different industries. You've got consumer goods, you've got obviously some of the tech and entertainment, as well as the automotive industry. And it's interesting just to note all the different things that are putting this forward, that people are, it's a big widespread of companies, because there's a lot of shifts going on right now in the market, which is hard for us to prepare for that. So when you think about all the different things that are happening, what else are you seeing that job seekers are concerned about today?
That's a great question. So there's this trend that's been going on, and actually, I don't know if you've probably seen it in the media. It's called quiet quitting, and it's not really about professionals or job seekers like quitting, but it's forcing employers to adapt. So it's really, again, going back to really what we've always known about that, mitigating that burnout, and kind of taking time to not go above and beyond their job description and do, as they say, 3 jobs and one person's doing 3 jobs. So it really looks, taking the time to step back and saying, well, what do I need from my work-life balance? What do I need to be fulfilled here, make good money, be happy with my job, help people, but also at the same time, not burn myself out and have enough time for family and other things. So that's something that's really, I'm forcing, I think it's not just a new buzzword. It's something that's actually, they're coining it as a new buzzword, but it's something that we've always kind of, I think, been striving towards. And the pandemic certainly has enforced that. And how we're going to help job seekers navigate this is really key right now. And I think also that other concerns, so other than just balancing lifestyle and wellness, it's really I'm seeing is there's a lot of job seekers facing debt at this time. So security and pay advancement, career growth are really, really key. How they're going to prepare for the next transition, it's up to us as career professionals to inform them on what are the next, marketable skills that are so important for their upskilling, like that requires, they have to carve out that time, but still to dedicate their that energy towards upskilling for the right skills, like the technological skills, but also not just the hard, but the soft skills as well. Now, something too I want to address is ageism is a concern. And I've seen the story. I'm not sure if you've heard of it's a Canadian journalist, Lisa Laflamme. She actually was let go because it has a lot to do with her. If you've seen a story about her, not it's kind of a silly thing. She's an excellent journalist, but she was let go because of her silvery hair. I don't know if have you heard that story? I'm not sure. And this story is actually touched a lot of people even across the globe, because what's happening is it's really showing the effects or the impacts of ageism, and how employers are needing to embrace employees, for their individuality. And now they have Wendy on Wendy's restaurants. They put her she has silver hair now as well. So that's an interesting brand that they put on her. And lots of also another thing that other concerns that job seekers are having is that I'm seeing a lot of newcomers immigrating from another country, and they're also finding that they're not able to do the jobs right now that they did back home. So they're experiencing challenges with upskilling and trying to transition to those, where are we going to go from here? What's, at this point. So maybe they're physicians and they're finding that they have to upgrade all over again, which can be a challenge. And for us, because we're going to need to help them understand how to go about that, of being in a high level position. So we're seeing a lot of different things. We're also seeing, again, another offshoot from the Great Resignation or the pandemic is a lot of job seekers now want to work remotely. And that's not just because of, they've adjusted to that culture when it was during the pandemic, but they're seeing that there's a lot of advantages to working remotely. And a lot of them, there's another thing, a term I'm seeing is the hybrid guilt. So a lot of, because now some employers are having professionals return to the office, a lot of people are going, well, now I have to balance hybrid work with remote, and I'm feeling that guilt of going back or whether to stay home and having to balance things. So those are the concerns that I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Lori. And since we're talking about layoffs today, I just want to key in on this quiet quitting. I wish they would have found a different name, because quiet indicates that you're not having a conversation with your company or your boss about this, which really isn't good working, it's not good leadership, it's not good emotional intelligence, right? We don't want you quietly quitting. We want you having adult, good conversations with your boss and with your company about what work-life balance looks like and how much work you're going to do. And I think that the quiet in that really kind of makes me pause, because that's just not good. That's not a good way to have a relationship. And you having a relationship with your company, with your boss. I mean, if you didn't talk to your spouse when something was wrong, you would not have a long marriage, right? It's just that the phrasing of it, I think, is not good for people. It's not good for your career. Yes, work-life balance is important, but if you are just quietly not participating, one is probably going to hurt your career long term, which maybe right now you don't think matters because you're worried about the life part, but it is work-life balance. Both parts matter. And two, as we look at these impending layoffs, if you are quietly quitting, people are noticing that, and it's likely you'll be first on the chopping block. Now, that isn't a fear tactic. It's simply just to say that this idea of not communicating, not prioritizing, not having the conversation with your organization is not good for your career. It's not good for your life either. I mean, this whole idea that it's a false dichotomy, right? That if I back off at work, I'll suddenly be happier at life. That's not true for most of us, right? We want to feel purposeful and engaged at work. And that helps us feel more happy in our life outside of work too. So just be cautious with people about that term. And especially as you look at layoffs and things that are coming, talk to your boss, talk to your company, have those conversations. Yes, you need to prioritize. And yes, everyone needs to be able to take care of themselves outside of work. But quietly quitting is not the answer. And I understand that's not exactly what the term means, but they chose quiet quitting, and I think it's really confusing to people, and it does have a pretty good chance of hurting your career if you follow along with the trend instead of stepping up, being an adult, having that conversation with your boss, and really setting boundaries. Quietly quitting is not setting boundaries, right? Setting boundaries requires active conversation with your boss. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, dive into a little bit more about what you can do to prepare yourself if there's a layoff and to get ready to make that move, maybe because of a layoff or maybe just because you want to. So we'll take a short break and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Do you need directions to solid financial future? If so, The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with a roadmap to making smart money decisions in every area of your personal finances. Join Jordan every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern for The Money Answer Show on the Voice America Business Channel. Learn how and where to get the best deals on mortgages, cars, and insurance. Find out the best ways to save for college and retirement. Get out of debt, improve your credit rating, and save on your taxes. The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with great tips on investment opportunities in real estate, stocks, annuities, and other investment vehicles. That's The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman on the Voice America Business Channel every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Welcome back to The Career Confidant, and I'm here with Lori Jazak, and we've been talking about some of the trends that are going on right now in the workplace and job search. And then we started to steer our conversation a little bit towards what do we do? How do we prepare for these layoffs, since we have 50% of companies kind of across industries talking about how they're looking towards layoffs in the next 12 to 18 months. So Lori, how do people prepare if they want to be prepared for a potential layoff?
Okay, it's a great question. I think encouraging job seekers to be proactive is so important, because we don't know with layoffs, it can happen to anyone at any time. And the warning signs are important. Also, I encourage my clients to really look out for the warning signs. Like, for instance, if, certain things are going on where they're being sort of almost left out in the cold, or there's certain dynamics in the company, they're not, they're being maybe called in for something, or there's certain things happening. So really doing your research also, once they know, they suspect they're being laid off, doing the research, understanding what is the next step, investigating possible options, and what is my next career move look like, and really looking at, you don't want to be looking into declining industries, but industries that are doing well. And encouraging also my clients to keep their skills marketable, especially because that's going to help position them for their next career move and help them drive their competitive advantage. A very important part is always networking. I cannot emphasize this enough. So making sure that they leave on good terms, that sometimes can be challenging, especially in an environment that's hostile or toxic. So really watching how they are, leaving, especially that last position, and networking, not just online, offline, building their network of champions and sponsors and prospectors, as we were talking in the Career Thought Leaders program. Seeking professional support, that's always the key, because you can't do this alone. I believe, in career change. And when I was going through my career change back in 2008, I did seek professional support. The big thing too is, before anything, really look at your budget. It's something that's not emphasized enough, because sometimes, when you're faced with a layoff, it can devastate you financially if you're not prepared. And the thing is to look at, how long can I be without a job, or, just in case if there's a recession, how long can I be without a job, or am I able to, weather the storm with this, or just looking at everything. Because I know I have a colleague that mentioned she was going through a career transition, and she was able to take time off and study and do different things, but it's because her budget was intact. So making sure you have that emergency fund, making sure you're networking, a positive attitude is key, because that's going to help you as you navigate your next career move, and is going to help you to solidify those references. So just making sure that the key advice, the big thing is, again, making sure you have all your ducks in a row, that you are ready to tackle this next transition. And mindset is especially important, because if you're going in with a negative mindset, you're not believing you can do it, or that you have value. I always, try to work with clients to help them understand their value and what is it that sets them apart. Why, and understanding their why for making the change. Why are they making this change? Because if they don't know why, they're going to have a very difficult time transitioning and having that transition stick. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there are so many things that we can do to pay attention. And you talked about this briefly, but people can pay attention to what's going on in their organization, pay attention to what's in your industry. I mean, if you're reading and looking ahead, it really shouldn't have been surprising to anyone in the automotive industry that there were layoffs, right? Ukraine is one of the top manufacturers in Europe for wiring harnesses. And when that shut down, the European companies and some of the big car companies snatched up the available inventory, and it took time for the supply chain to catch up. So now you've got a big lag in the ability to produce, which means that revenue goes down, and layoffs are imminent. And so if you're in an industry, it really shouldn't be a surprise to you when you see those things because you're paying attention. For instance, in the tech industry, valuations and the way companies are valued switched from, hey, you've got a cool technology and kind of the blue sky, what's the limit of your technology, to are you profitable? And if you're not profitable, you're not getting funding, you're not getting these things. And so I would say pay attention to what's going on in your industry. Look at the news, look at your all company conversations, look at your professional associations, see what they're talking about, and really pay attention, because not that it might not still be a surprise, but you really can see some of these trends coming and perhaps impacting you. And as you're paying attention to those things, hopefully you're also doing what Lori was talking about in terms of networking, talking to other people about these trends, going to meetings and meeting other people who are talking about these trends. And then it becomes a little bit less, you trying to interpret everything in a vacuum, because you're talking to other people and you're building your network. So I think there's a little bit of a win-win there for our career overall when we start paying attention to what's going on, bigger picture.
Exactly. And also, don't be afraid to seek feedback from your network and wider networks, because that's going to help you, as a job seeker, to understand what is it sets you apart, where, giving you a clue as to what's the next career move. Getting that constructive feedback is really important, I think.
Well, and we've talked a little bit about the layoffs and impending things, but as you combine it with your conversation of the Great Resignation, people may be nervous about layoffs, but they're also thinking about making a career change. So if someone's thinking about making a career change, how does this advice that we've just been giving, how does that shift?
Shift, you mean to the different strategies you're saying, or?
Yeah, so if someone's not necessarily looking to stay in their industry, what would they do to kind of do these same things that we've been talking about, but towards the career change that they might want to make?
So if they're looking to be into a different industry, I think, again, it's really looking at things like from a brand marketing standpoint, really preparing clients this way with the resume is so key. It's a key piece in the job search. Sometimes you hear things, the resume's dead. it's such a, no, it's not. It's a key piece to everything. And especially when the client is making a change to a different industry, really understand, those commonalities. What is it in the client's background, experience, and skills that aligns with that new industry? And taking that across the other platforms like LinkedIn as a vital component. Sometimes I joke around with my clients and say that the resume and LinkedIn to me are like, it's kind of silly, but the peanut butter and jelly together, because they go so well together. They're like, resume you definitely need, but the LinkedIn is the component. And very often clients will, or the employer will go to the LinkedIn before they even go to the resume. So when it's the client is looking in another industry, they've really got to do the research and understand how they're going to appear on these different platforms and how they're going to set themselves apart through brand marketing, which I emphasize a career storytelling approach. That piece is so vital. Like you can translate those experiences and find the similar themes and the patterns and skills that relate, and then kind of, tell that story, whether it's through the biography or it's through the networking resume, maybe a video resume, make it innovative. Don't forget, about the coaching piece, coach the client on how they can translate those skills and experiences and that value to the other industry, making sure that it's all relevant and valid. Even simple things like the LinkedIn banner can make the client stand out on LinkedIn. Just little pieces, those little things are so key from the brand marketing standpoint to help them to ensure that their brand is relevant and it's compelling and it's accurate. It's accurate across all platforms, and that they stand out, and that they're, I think that it's a value driver for them to be highlighting their brand, because that's key, right, for success and for competitive advantage.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was just thinking, if someone is looking to make a transition, of course they need to know where they want to transition, and then they can start doing that translation that you're talking about. They can talk to their network, get introductions into the new industry, and really do some of the same things that you were talking about before, but just aim towards the new industry, new focus, instead of towards the old. And I believe that it's around 50%, maybe even a little bit more, of people that are looking to make a transition in industry as they make a job switch in the next year or so. So it's a large group of people out there.
Yes, that's very true. We also know, I have some facts here that 4.5 million people voluntarily quit their jobs in November 2021. There's so many people are quitting and leaving and making transitions at such a rapid rate. And now they're finding it's actually a good time. And the job seekers have actually the more bargaining power, because they're seeing it's more bargaining power. So the employers really are having to almost, in a sense, lower their expectations, even though they're quite, demanding all these skills. But because of this staffing shortage and the things that were going on, we're seeing through the Great Resignation, they're having to really kind of, step back a bit and really look at the employee or the prospective employee from a different viewpoint. On maybe they don't have experience, but they have other value they can add to the company or to the culture. And employers are going to really have to, now that the recession is looming, they're going to have to really understand, how they're going to take their company further in the next, now 5 years. Otherwise, they're going to end up facing closings and different things are going to be going on, especially in these fast-paced companies or industries, manufacturing, construction, and engineering and all that. So it's really about staying abreast of, different trends and really networking with the right people. I think for employers and for employees, it's about really, continually networking and making sure their brand stands out with different innovative brand marketing tools, and hiring the right, master resume writer or career coach. Career coaching is such a vital piece in my strategy to helping job seekers navigate that transition, because we know change can be difficult. It's not always easy. We know change can be a time of confusion, uncertainty. So,
yeah, it is important for people to think about that ahead of time. And of course, if you're thinking you might have a layoff, and you can start planning for that now, you'll be kind of ahead of the game. So let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about, you've mentioned it a few times, the branding and marketing, LinkedIn resume aspect of things. And what do people want to do with that specifically as they're preparing for a layoff? How could they start using LinkedIn now? What should they do to get their resume updated? So we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll dive into those topics.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com, or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click register at the top right.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network. You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Hello and welcome back to the Career Confidant, and we're happy to have you here today. We're talking with Lori Jasbach about how to prepare for a layoff and then what to do for making a career change. If you're thinking about making a career change in addition to preparing for a layoff, kind of got two things going on for a lot of people right now who are thinking about doing a career change and then also nervous about a layoff. So Lori, we do have someone that was going to call in, so we may bring them on here as soon as they do that. But until we've got that person here live, let's go ahead and just chat a little bit about what people want to be thinking about in terms of, you talked about their resume a little bit. So any other pieces you would add to kind of updating their resume as they prepare for the layoff?
So one thing with updating resume, a lot of times the clients will ask me again, how can I, if I want to apply to a different industry, a different focus, one resume is not always good for everything. It's not, you're not going to use an administrative assistant resume for, say, a teaching position. So really making sure the resume is customized, not just the keywords, but all through accomplishments, a summary profile, making sure that content is king, but also design will complement that and align with the job seeker's brand. The challenge action result method called CAR is one that I think very important for job seekers to know, because they ask me all the time, what is your secret to really making me stand out? What is the strategy for the accomplishments? And the accomplishments are, as you know, the building blocks, the resume. They're difficult, often a difficult piece for the client to piece through or to formulate, because what it is the three key pieces for the accomplishments are challenge, action, result. So challenge is, what is the situation, challenge that you've gone through? Action, what is the strategy you've taken? And result, what is the impact on strategic goals, in terms of efficiency, revenue growth, cost cutting, whatever it is, innovation. If those pieces are not in the resume, it's always about, the resume is going to be, as they say, lackluster. It won't be very effective. You've got to lead with the results in all cases. And you got to make sure that, it's the results are not just qualitative, describing, but that they're quantitative with numbers. And I know I've taken a lot of your programs, Marie, and you really offer great programs there with resume and coaching as well. And coaching the client on how to leverage the resume as not just a tool, a brand marketing tool. It's not just as, years ago, decades ago, it was known as just outlining. I remember when I went to school, it was just outlining your duties, responsibilities, and we call it the duties, responsibilities resume. That's no longer the case. Now it is really a storytelling tool. And it's also a way to, for clients to use this when they go to conferences, when they are networking, when they're maybe, speaking, doing a presentation, maybe applying for a volunteer position. The resume is much more versatile than it ever was, and we can convert it into a networking resume, a one-page resume, or a biography, or a lot of different things we can do. And that's the beauty of the resume. And it's centuries old, but it's just an amazing tool.
Right. And as you've said, really making sure that we're aligning that to our future goals. So what stories are going to be important to that future hiring manager? What language is going to connect with them? It's really about writing to the future, not to what you've done in the past, which when you're transitioning can be challenging, right? Because people want to talk about it in the language that they've used instead of talking about it in the language of what they're wanting to do or the future that they're moving towards. So what about LinkedIn? What's different about the LinkedIn profile than what you've just said about the resume? And then how can they use LinkedIn as a tool now that they know they want to make a change?
So LinkedIn is a way, as I mentioned before, that the employer will look at LinkedIn before they look at your resume. So it's a way to make sure it's, first of all, updated completely, because the more that it's updated, you stand top of mind. You want to aim for a top profile, with top visibility. So with LinkedIn, it's really about leveraging that profile to stand out, using different strategies, connecting with making strategic decisions to connect with. You want to connect with people that, are positive, that are like-minded, but also that will, complement your network. So you're not just going to, encourage your clients to connect with anyone on there. It has to be a strategic move that way. I think that the best way, to get in the door, I would say to talk to potential employers through a referral. Referrals are so important. So using LinkedIn's search features to see who connects you to the hiring manager, that's really important. Understanding that LinkedIn is a powerful tool for anyone's job search. With members including ground level employees to Fortune 100 CEOs, you're missing out if you're not on LinkedIn. The recommendations section, their professional testimonials, they're so key because I encourage my clients to not just, give recommendations, but to get recommendations because they are testimonials to enhance their credibility and to demonstrate what their value is to other people, which again can make sure it can expand that job search and elevate it. So soliciting LinkedIn recommendations from past employers, past managers, even from people they've managed in the past is really key to success. And networking is, again, networking on LinkedIn 3 to 5 times a week, I recommend. Being part of groups, posting, contributing, adding value. And it's really about giving, not just getting, receiving, but giving the value. And quality of the recommendations and quantity matter. So someone with 10 recommendations may look more solid than someone with 1 or 2, but it depends, again, on quality. LinkedIn's company profiles feature can lead also job seekers to job opportunities. You can find out the job history of everyone who works at a certain company. So there's certain features on there, and new features are coming out as well. LinkedIn can tell you if anyone in your network works in companies you might want to work for. That's useful information in a job search. And using LinkedIn's people you may know function to search for people who you've worked with at your past employers, then asking them to connect on LinkedIn is also another strategy. So there's a lot of different strategies, a lot of different tricks and tips that I give my clients. I also offer a complete LinkedIn success kit and a course that I have. So there's so many different things you can do on LinkedIn, and more newer features, as you know, are coming out pretty much steadily. It's about exploring LinkedIn, taking the time, though, to understand how it works among anything. And what is, not everybody will use LinkedIn the same way. So some people, executives too, being also mindful of something else is that when you're doing a confidential job search and maybe, a job search that you don't want, the client doesn't want the employer to know that he's looking or she's looking. So again, keeping in mind that the stealth profile, stealth is a term that we're not, actively mentioning on LinkedIn, like, you're looking for this job, but you really want to make it neutral, but you still want to stand out. So those are strategies that I take with my clients to position them without making it obvious. Like sometimes you've probably heard of that. There's a lot of people that put on, there's that icon, or open to work or open to new opportunities. So we got to really be careful how we coach our clients on the strategies, because every client is different and they need a distinct LinkedIn strategy for success.
Yeah, there's a lot of features that are challenging to know, is it the right thing for me just because it exists? So we do have someone that's called in to ask a question. And Jay, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Marie. It's good to be on. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, that's great. I just have a question. So, how does automation affect the layoffs? Because, I see that a lot of stores are closing up shops lately, and I know some jobs are being replaced by automation. So how does that affect layoffs?
That's a great question, Jay. So automation is another key trend as well. AI automation is going to be these jobs that are maybe, with data processing. So maybe, employers will look to automate, and as they will automate, there are going to be certain jobs that will be, obviously re-engineered, restructured, and people will be let go. And so, but the key is I think we don't exactly know. When we're looking ahead, we don't know for every job, what roles are going to be automated or in the future, and how is this exactly going to affect every layoff or every company? I think it depends on the company's business model and on their strategy. But the key is that where jobs that are involving, I think, human interaction and customer service, that's still going to be quite vital. So I think preparing yourself with the skills, with these technological skills, because even with automation, they're still going to need people, again, they're still going to need the roles to be navigating this automation in some form. Human interaction, like even I say with career coaching, that human element that's going to be so key. So I think we're going to have to monitor what's going to be happening in the next while. I think Marie will agree as well, with AI, because again, in elevating your marketable skills, understanding how you can contribute value to the company, and without, totally giving into that attitude that now automation is going to take over everything and human interaction won't be key, because it still will be in any company. I think it's going to be key to success and key to elevating the company's brand and to making sure the company's running properly. So we're going to have to still monitor that, I think.
Well, and the research from the World Economic Forum a few years ago showed that automation and AI would create just as many, if not more, jobs than they eliminate. And this is where the kind of reskilling or upskilling part comes in, because it isn't that it is necessarily eliminating jobs. It is, but it's mostly shifting work from one place to another. And we have to get the new skills to be able to do the new jobs that this technology is creating. And as you look at, maybe automating this part of it, but then it's creating this job over here for someone to manage that automation or interpret that data or manage the process. So that is our challenge in the workforce. And it has been for 10 years. I mean, automation and robotics have been impacting the workforce for decades, right? And so it's a gradual transition. You looking in your industry or the industries you want to be a part of and really seeing what is the impact of this going to be and what new opportunities is it going to create? Because yes, it might eliminate some jobs, but it's also creating just as many, if not more jobs, if we have the right skills to be able to plug into those new jobs.
And the flexibility, having that flexible, agile mindset that we can grow and we can adapt, because adaptability is key. Whatever we're changed, I think we've seen that Maria emphasizes that in her programs. If we can, upskill, we can do all these new things and welcome new opportunities, but we don't have that agile, adaptable mindset, it's going to kind of fall back on us. So really, we've got to have that mindset from the get-go.
Right. So Lori, I hope you can stay on for just a few more minutes. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, Jay, we'll check in with you, see if you have any additional questions or information you'd like to add, and then kind of close it up here. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear a little bit more from Jay and from Lori. Thank you.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Are you a business owner, 1099 contractor, part-time employee, or volunteer who needs group health coverage you can actually afford? Do you know a nonprofit who would benefit from unlimited zero-cost funding? How about cost reduction, school safety, mental health wellness, and more? All these and more are fair game on Finding Certainty. If you want more certainty in your own life, you are not alone. Join us each Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern on the Voice America Business Channel Find your own brand of certainty and realize your personal American dream with Finding Certainty, hosted by Patrick Lang. Let's unwrap the certainty experience together.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business.
You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Welcome back to The Career Confidant, and today we are chatting with Lori Jasvac, and we've had Jay, who's called in on the line as well to ask some questions. So Jay, I just want to touch back in with you. We were talking about how automation will impact layoffs, and if you had any further questions on that or any other questions that we can discuss. Oh, did we lose Jay? All right. Well, I hope that answered his question, although I don't think there's an answer, right? It's an evolving part of our workforce and something definitely to keep an eye on. But as you said, or as you were answering the question, Lori, and be careful to embrace that technology, embrace that automation, because really the jobs of the future will be partners with that automation. And if people are shying away from it or see it as an adversary, it's going to negatively impact their career for sure.
Exactly. I agree. I see a lot of baby boomers or executives that, some are adaptable to it or ready to take it on, and others for technology, others aren't. So it's really a challenge though for everyone to embrace AI and seeing how all these trends are going to impact different roles and industries. At the same time, understanding that there could be new opportunities emerging, that it's not really the AI and automation is not the end all or be all. That we can look towards, like as I tell my clients, think creatively and visualize a new career horizon. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I love that. So you had talked a little bit about a career model. Tell me what that is and how that can help people in transition.
Sure. So there's different career transition models. I actually formed one back a few years ago. That's an award-winning one. It's called the ABCD method. It stands for Affirm, Brainstorm, Create, and Discover a New Career Horizon. Really what it's about, it's really sort of following, affirming your goals, your values, your needs, and brainstorming the opportunities, brainstorming your options, and then going out there and cultivating those networks, creating those opportunities, because I believe it's not about anymore we are, waiting for as job seekers are waiting for the opportunities to, emerge. No, we have to go out there and create them and create those connections. And then discovering a new career horizon is really about, embracing that change and sustaining it. It's not just about this, the 90 days when we're working there, but past that, beyond that, how can we deliver value beyond that? And we're always continually, just because the job seekers, just because we help them find this position that they want, their dream job, doesn't mean it ends there. There's always that, how can we do better? How can we continue learning? How can we continue expanding our networks? There's so many different other models there. I know another one that stands out is William Bridges' model, the what was, what is, and what will be. So going from the ending, I'm coaching my clients to take them from the ending to the neutral to new beginnings. So as they transition, every job seeker goes through different stages and takes different time in going through those stages. And it's important to be empathetic and to understand what job seekers are going through, but at the same time, guide them and help them understand that change is very often these days non-linear. It's not as it used to be when my parents were working. They worked for 3 decades in one factory, and then they, you got the gold watch and you pretty much were retired. But now it's very different. We're seeing that people are not retiring as quickly, some of them, and others are choosing second careers. And there's different ways that we're developing our careers with portfolio careers, so multiple careers in one lifetime. And so the best change models, I think, are the ones that align with our clients and help them understand their change. So whether you choose the Bridges model or my ABCD method or Kubler-Ross's, different stages of denial, anger, bargaining, going through depression, acceptance, those are just different ways of helping, open up the communication channels, help them align with what they're going through and understand change. And that's the key, because once they understand what stage they're in, it's going to help them to kind of get through the change and to plan for and prepare for what this next steps they have to, they have to go through and take on.
Excellent. I love that. We're providing some structure there for people to follow. So, Lori, as you said, you've created this model. You have some resources that can help people through their job search. And you talked earlier about one on LinkedIn. Tell people how they can find you. How can they connect with you if they're interested in learning more?
Sure. So feel free to contact me. My phone number is 905-730-2374. I'm located in Halton, Ontario, Canada. You can contact me via website, creativeresumestrategist.com, or on LinkedIn, LinkedIn/Lori Jasbach, or you can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and basically that model ABCD is on my website as well under the career coaching page, or career coaching. Yeah, that's that page. So please feel free to also visit my job search vault. I offer a lot of free resources on there. And I also have a blog site, creativehorizonsresumes.com/blog. And I often write for Career Professionals of Canada, careerprocanada.ca. So you can find me on there as well. I have different blogs on there, and that can help you understand the different trends and issues that we are going through in terms of career development. So yeah, I welcome any questions. I'm happy to connect with any job seeker or professional. So thank you so much,
Marie. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Lori. That was great. We talked a lot about what to do to prepare in case of a layoff. I realized that we didn't talk about what to do when you are laid off. So I'm just going to, we got 2 minutes left here. I'll just talk through this for a second, that if you do get laid off, what do you want to do? First of all, you want to make sure that you are understanding exactly what your company's offering you. So if you're offered a severance, if you're offered any kind of package, make sure you really understand what that is saying. Use the resources that they provide to you. So if they provide you outplacement, use what they're giving you. Don't just say, oh, I don't need that, or, oh, that, whatever. Use what they've given you. Don't walk away from those free resources that they might be offering. Make sure you understand that employment contract, your termination agreements. Read through those, understand them. If you have any challenges, get a lawyer, get someone to help you understand what those look like, so that you're not violating those if there's any non-compete or anything like that, and you're fully getting the resources that are available to you in those types of contracts. So that's the first thing I would say, is really understand what's going on there. And then the second thing I would say is to really find a way, whatever your way is, of centering yourself emotionally. It's very rare that something like this happens and we don't have an emotional reaction. And the last thing that you want to do is take that emotional reaction that you're having out to your network or out to the job search. So do whatever you do, whether that's meditating, exercise, prayer, whatever is your centering activity, and get centered before you launch your job search. Get centered into what you really want to do. And then realize that there's going to be some kind of grieving process. We talk a lot about finding a new job and, snap, snap, move on. But we wouldn't talk about that for any other long-term relationship that you are losing, or any other, ending that you have. So make sure that you recognize that ending. You give yourself space and grace to process it emotionally, perhaps even while you're moving forward with your job search. If you don't have a nest egg to rest on, you might have to get moving, but give yourself space mentally and spiritually, whatever is important to you, to reconnect and revive yourself, your mental health, and not just take care of the tactics of your search. So hopefully that's helpful. I did a LinkedIn post, I did an Instagram post on career leaders. So if you have other thoughts, other questions, happy to keep the conversation going there as well. And we will be back here next week on the Career Confidant with another episode. Lori, thank you so much for joining us and Thank you so much for listening in, everyone. We'll be back next week on The Career Confidant.
Thank you for listening to The Career Confidant. Marie Zimenoff will return again with another terrific guest next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel. Be sure to join us then.